Ah, spring is in the air. No, that's just onions. This is the Sweet Harvest and the Texas White. This half is Texas White. This half is Sweet Harvest. Those are the seeds we started about 6 weeks ago. And some of them are still a little yet small. Others are plenty big enough to go ahead and stick in the ground. So the holdup on all of that is this. It's the raised beds. They've got to be redone. Without wagging you guys around too much, I want to show you some of the things I did wrong and just what you can expect out of raised beds. I built these raised beds here out of just regular old, we call it pine lumber. It's probably fir or something like that. But basically you can see that it has rotted away. This would be the start of its 4th season. So it did 3 seasons just fine, and we see that it kind of began to break away and deteriorate. And at the time, I think I spent about 120 bucks maybe. Screws, wood, the whole 9 yards to build a raised beds that covered a 12 by 12 space. What I plan to do now is go back with treated lumber, which, if you know anything about lumber, treated lumber is designed to go in contact with the soil. Now, I know there's a lot of, oh, you shouldn't use treated lumber. It leaches formaldehyde into the soil and then your vegetables absorb it and you eat it. They don't use those chemicals anymore in treated lumber. So treated lumber is a lot safer than treated lumber from 20 or 30 years ago. So I've watched a lot of videos on it. If you're afraid of chemicals, you know, you live in a bubble or something, don't use treated lumber. Here, let me give you another option. I built these beds 2 years ago, so this is their 3rd season. I made these out of Arkansas cedar. And if you look, they've got a long time left. They're not even starting to show signs of rot. But I did things a little differently. The most important thing is in the corners, I put a 2x4 in there to give me more to screw into than just the end of one of the boards. So I reinforced the corners. I used a rot-resistant natural lumber like Arkansas white cedar. And I built 4 beds, and they are just 1 year behind that bed. And that bed looks, it didn't look anywhere, it looked bad at the start of last year. So, as you can see what happens, let me get you down in here, and I've got a grade stake here. I'll use this grade stake. See how this is just, I mean, it's a shell of what it is. Where the sun's shining, it's still got a semblance of looking like a board, but where it was in constant contact with the dirt, it just rotted. And the screws, since the wood was rotted, the screws just pulled through the existing board, which is right here. This entire 12-foot board broke loose. So I know what untreated, regular old store-bought common boards do. I know what cedar boards, Arkansas cedar boards will do. Let's get together and try treated lumber. Now, disclaimer's sake, lumber is at an all-time high right now. I mean, it's like outrageous, but my garden is at an all-time low, so I've got to do something. So I spent $440 on lumber, screws, and a saw blade. So let's just say I spent $400 on the treated lumber. Well, there's my 2 10-foot by 2-foot boxes built. Let me show you what I did. I cut a 2x4, 10 inches long, which I knew that would be a little bit longer than an actual 2x10 board. It's easier to go through here and mark every 10 inches than it is every 9.5. By the time you get to the end of the tape, you're really confused. But I made this side flush. If you'll notice, this will be the top side. These boxes are 10 by 2. And I added the 2x4 so I would have extra stuff to drill into. That should reinforce my corners just like I did in these cedar beds, not like I did in these original pine beds. So we tore the boards out. As you can see on that one over there, the boards are out, and I dug a trench where the new end will go. and that will leave me a 10-foot by 2-foot bed. I just trimmed it up with a flat nose shovel. We're going to carry this box around there and set it in. Not perfect, but close enough. This one over here is going to need some more trimming. Somebody's trying to take a winter nap. He got woke up a little early. Better put him back. I don't want warts. Said we were. Let's start by this side. Got it?
I do.
Set her down.
Oh, that one's better.
There you go. All right, sun popped out, so let me give you a little update. We got all the boxes built and dropped in place, as you can see. And I'm adding the 2x4s to the tops of the long runs. I'm not going to put them on the ends. If I want to grow something to spill over the edge, like thyme or any of the other smaller herbs, I can put them here. The reason for adding this rigidity to the sides is because the sides, not so much during the year, but when you are turning them over, you pull dirt out, you drop dirt back down. Those 10 and 12 foot runs want a bow in the middle, and that's what caused some of the boards to break. Of course, they were already rotten, but you know, when you look down this long 12 foot run here without that 2x4 top, it's real tempting, especially for, you see how much it drops off on this side. It's real tempting for that wood just to want to slide out with the, you know, gravity has effect on all of us. Got me a trophy wife over there working. Look at her. She's doing the dirty work, cleaning up the rotten lumber. You young men out there looking for a wife, find you one that'll do stuff like that. Don't get a high maintenance one that you've got to take to get her hair done and her nails did and all that. Find one that'll get out in the backyard and work with you. This is a much better bed than what we originally had. And it's better for a number of reasons. It's better where it's connected. Instead of just having 3 screws here, or maybe 3 or 4 and a couple from each side, I have the 2x4 right there in the center adding bracing. I have 5 screws on this end. I have 2 screws on this end. I may go back and add a 3rd in there. I have the support on the upright, and I'm using treated lumber. All right, we got her done. Everything's screwed down where it's supposed to be. We kind of pushed the dirt back around in place, and as you can see, we didn't really lose that much dirt. And we're going to add some more, you know, amendments, not necessarily dirt. More than likely, I will get some peat moss or some cottonseed hull, something similar to that, something fluffy, and turn it under. And then we'll be ready to plant in these beds. Overall, I'm well pleased. Like I said, I think everything is a whole lot better. I think we're built for 10 years instead of 3. You know, if we don't get 10 years out of it, that's fine. If we get 7 or 8, I'll be tickled. We're going to easily get more time out of the Arkansas cedar than we did out of the plane. And this being treated should last substantially longer. So, thanks for coming along with us. I hope this helps you decide maybe how you want to build your raised beds. If you're in a rent house, or maybe you're in the military, you're going to be moving, getting transferred in 2 or 3 years. Go get you some pine boards, put you in a raised bed, have fun. About 3 years, you're going to pay for your cheapness like I did. So I built this much better, and I'm pleased with it. And you can just keep following the channel. We'll keep planting in it. Over time, you can prove me right or prove me wrong. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video.